Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Mazzio, and I am the Dean of the Olin Business School here at WashU. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so wonderful and thrilling to be starting the new academic year. I've been doing this, since kindergarten, and I feel it right now. I still get chills on the first day of school. It's, when I was growing up, my family went out for dinner twice a year, Christmas Eve and the first day of school. And we got a chance to, each one of the kids got a chance to say what the first day was like and which teachers they liked, which teachers they didn't like. It is, for me, growing up in a family of educators, incredibly exciting to get things kicked off, and no more so for this, really monumental transition into college, right? I just got a text message within the hour. My daughter is boarded her plane for junior year at NYU, and I know what all of you are thinking right now. He looks way too young to have a college junior. How is that possible? And I'm looking out here thinking the exact same of all of you, every single one of you. But it's here. It is here, and we can do it. I know I can. I've been able to manage. We have an incredibly exciting and impactful program prepared for your kids over the next 4 years here at Olin, where they will be intellectually stimulated and they will be prepared for what goes beyond them. And we do it in a WashU way. We do it in an intimate way. This is not any kind of factory here at Olin. One of the reasons you all chose WashU for your education is because it is everything that you can get from any university in the world, but at the same time, a personal, intimate experience. And one of the things that we are, in our partnership with the university, focused on doing here at Olin is extracting and understanding for each and every one of your students, what do they want to get out of their university experience? What is it that creates passion and purpose for them individually, and how can we, as the educational institution that supports them both academically, both co-curricularly, how can we provide that support, guidance, insight, education, and pathway to that individual purpose and passion? And so, in addition to all of the required courses that your students will do over the next 4 years, encourage your students to identify what it is that they want to get out of this experience and where they want to go. And in the combination of experiential learning opportunities, global immersion experiences, case competitions, it runs the gamut of opportunities for your students to identify idiosyncratic, unique elements to incorporate into their education to match with their purpose, to match with their individual goals. And that's something that is possible here at Olin because Dean LaRose and her team will get to know each of your students individually, and we have the support and infrastructure in place to be able to deliver unique, special moments and insights to your students. So I encourage you to encourage them to do that. I encourage you to encourage them to take advantage of everything that's available on this campus. And I encourage you to let them experience it. They can do it. And we have the support here to enable them to reach out, to connect, to forge their own path. It is, from my experience, a big challenge to be able to do that. It's okay. They're ready. They're ready. And we are here both from the professors and from the great undergraduate team that we have here to help them along the way. So, welcome. We would love for you to continue to be engaged with what's going on here at Olin. I'm working on, with my faculty and staff, a really exciting strategic plan for the next 5 years, which will involve new initiatives around undergraduate education, as well as healthcare, family and private business. We're excited to take this school forward into the next generation, and your class of students will be a big part of that. So stay tuned for more exciting news from Olin along the way. Congratulations on getting past this milestone as a parent. And looking forward to a wonderful 4 years with your wonderful, amazing students. Thank you very much. Now, I started at Olin maybe almost a year ago. September 1st was my first day as dean. So actually, this is my first parents' welcome. I missed the cycle of the first day of school last year because I started in September. But a year on, I know a lot more about Olin than I did when I started last September 1st. And one of the things that I know well is that our Senior Associate Dean of Undergraduate Education, Paige LaRose, has it down pat. She and her team are incredible leaders in creating an experience for your undergraduates that is really second to none. So I'm going to turn it over to Paige, and she's going to walk you through some important details, but I'm thrilled to have Paige leading this effort. Paige.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome from me and the Olin undergraduate program team. I am Paige LaRose. This is actually my 17th incoming class of Olin students. And as Mike said, as someone who's spent well over 20 years in higher education, every year brings the same nerves, jitters, excitement, even for me, who's done this since I was in kindergarten, right? Well, great. So I have some slides here. Some of the information I'm going to share with you all is a bit more detailed, right? I want you all to leave today feeling comfortable about what is ahead for your student this fall semester. We, other than advising them this summer, have yet to meet your students on campus. We will kick off orientation events with them tomorrow morning. So some of this is maybe if they get in touch with you via text, probably, maybe if you're lucky enough, a phone call, they might relay to you. So I want to give you an overview of what they're going to hear from us, okay? We is really important here, and I have an amazing team of people that I want to introduce all of you to, all right? This group, the undergraduate program team, plays a really important role in creating this experience and helping your students to connect to all of those opportunities on campus that Mike mentioned. So I'm gonna ask each of them, I'll introduce them and just have them stand and give a quick wave, okay? So we will start with Yoon Groves. She's our Assistant Dean and Director of Academic and Student Affairs. Each of them are wonderful. You can hold your applause till the end, though. Next up is Joy Adler, our event specialist and coordinator. We have Sean Brody, Associate Director of Undergraduate Advising and Student Affairs. Connie Henning, Manager in our Center for Experiential Learning and also Academic Advisor. Annie Hyde, Assistant Director of Global Programs. Sarah Jimenez, Global and Academic Advisor. Spencer Morgan, Academic and Student Affairs Advisor. Mai Morse isn't here this morning. She's our receptionist that will greet all of your students with a warm smile when they come into our office. Michelle Pacone, Global and Academic Advisor. Anna Russo, Academic and Student Affairs Advisor. Anthony Scales, Academic and Student Affairs Advisor. Genesis Steele, Assistant Director of Academic and Student Affairs, and Sarah Stratton, Director of Olin Global Programs. Now applause as well, yes. As I mentioned, your students have met with one of them over the summer. If you don't know your student's advisor's name, shame on you, I'm just kidding. But there will be an opportunity for you to say hello if you would like. At the end of our session, they'll be stationed out in the forum space. If you don't know who your student's advisor is, that's okay. Each of the advisors will have a list and they can point you to the person that you might want to say hello to, okay? Well, perhaps most of you noticed that when I introduced the team, most of them had advisor in their title. All of us have a caseload of advisees, and we work really hard to build and form those relationships with students so that we can best support them. What is the role of the advisor and how do we support your students? Well, we help them with their academic exploration and planning. Your student has already met with us this summer. They will meet with us again in November to talk about their spring registration. And hopefully they will meet with us more frequently. It is not uncommon for an advisor to send out an opportunity to sign up for lunch or for coffee with them, and we'll hope they'll engage with us in more than just that one mandatory meeting per semester. The advisors are all very knowledgeable about resources across campus and within the Olin Business School. So they're a great, first stop if your student has questions about needs they might have or where to go for certain information. They'll refer them on and they'll support them in the appropriate way depending on what the needs that your student might be facing. And we also foster ongoing professional and educational growth in your student. And this can really only happen if they're willing to communicate with us. My team is incredible, but I don't think any of them have mastered mind reading yet. And also, as Mike said, we're not a factory. We know that each student that comes through our program is going to graduate with different majors and minors. They're going to get involved with different clubs. They're going to have different experiences. And when your student can open up, communicate those goals and interests with us, the advising team can best support them to helping them achieve those goals along the way. Another major player in your students' experience over the next 4 years is going to be their faculty members, of course. The faculty here are highly engaged. They're highly engaged and successful at their research, but also take a lot of pride in engaging with students in the classroom space when they teach them too. Some of the competencies that your students are going to gain over the next 4 years are being able to analyze data and interpret it and present it out. They're going to be able to think entrepreneurially, definitely learn teamwork and collaboration skills. Most of our classes do have sort of a group work aspect to them. and they'll also be able to cultivate a global mindset. Your students will all experience a set of core courses together before they move on to the majors and minors that they will choose. And our faculty are really important and key people to help them make those choices along the way. Our faculty always tell us, we wish more students would come to our office hours. So if they're struggling in a course, if they let you know that a certain course is particularly challenging, say, I bet your faculty member has some office hours. You should stop in and visit. Most of our faculty members have teaching assistants, so upperclassmen who are in that major or who have done particularly well in a certain class. And these teaching assistants can be great resources for the students, but it requires, again, engagement with the faculty member too. So please encourage your student to do so. Well, a little bit about the experience academically this fall semester. All of your business students are enrolled in these 2 courses listed here. These 2 courses are very complementary. Management 100 is your substantive business course. The professors for this fall are Konstantina Kiosis and Gino Liu. And over the course of this semester, they're going to have 3 segments of Management 100. The first focuses on understanding markets and firms, sort of basic economics. Hint, hint, it tends to be the most challenging segment of Management 100 all semester. So if you hear some angst, it is normal. It is always, that first part is always the hardest one in Management 100. The second part is about firm strategy, and the third is the impact of management and incentives. After each segment, there will be an exam in the course. That first exam over that economic section is usually the first week of October. So if you're hearing extra sort of angst and worry, that's why. But there's a lot of support. There's review sessions, there's TAs, they're gonna get the help that they need, okay? And then there's a second exam after the second segment, and then there's a final exam in this course as well. I think, and students will tell you this, hopefully at the end of the semester, the most exciting thing about Management 100 is this case competition that they'll experience. They'll be assigned, they already have been assigned to a management team. Their management team will be presented with a company that they need to investigate, research, gather data on, formulate some sort of recommendation that they're going to present in our case competition sometime in November. Past companies have included Verizon, Peloton, Amazon, Target, household names where there's a lot of public information available about them. And them and their team members, with guidance from their TAs, will work to come up with about a 15 to 20 minute presentation that they're going to deliver. So the Management 100 case comp, you will also hear a lot about this semester. It's a really exciting opportunity for students to sort of elevate their knowledge and apply it. The companion course to Management 100 is Management 150. This course is led by myself and Dean Groves. Students are put into their 100 and 150 sections by advisor. And in Management 150, your student's advisor will sit in on class with them every week, which is a really fun way for us to see how your student experiences the classroom setting. It's a bit of a unique course in the sense there's no exams. Each week, a senior faculty member on the Olin faculty will come in and give them an overview of each of our majors. So they'll learn a little bit about finance, marketing, supply chain, economics, strategy, and so on. We'll ask them to take those concepts, put them all together, and they will be tasked with coming up with sort of a product or an app or a service, acting as entrepreneurs, and then pitch that idea at the end of the semester. So a lot of teamwork involved, navigating the ups and downs of doing group work together across both of those courses. In addition to these 2 business courses, all of your students, most all of them, are likely enrolled in a calculus course this semester. They took a placement exam. They would have worked with their advisor to determine the appropriate calc level. About half of your students will be enrolled in the university's college writing course this fall. The other half of them will take it in the spring semester. And then each of them have selected 1 to 2 elective courses that they're taking this fall semester. All of their registration has been vetted by the advising team. It should be looking good. If they're feeling nervous or having second thoughts on the courses that they enrolled in, we'll be offering advising times over the next 3 days when they're with us over academic orientation, and they can definitely do a check-in at that time. All right, so not only is the academic transition a big one, most of you are aware there's a social transition as well. You've been through a lot of the university orientation sessions. Your students are making friends in their residence halls. There's a lot of great programming in the week ahead before they start classes. But I did just want to highlight a couple of things that Olin is doing to help with that social transition. First, your students all received an upperclassman match with one of our Olin peer ambassadors. We call them OPAs for short. These OPAs are a great resource for your student to ask those appropriate peer questions of, what is a supply chain major? What do you learn in those classes? I really need to satisfy this silly science elective that they're making me do. What would you recommend? What did you take? So the Olin Peer Ambassador, there's a lot of opportunities where they can get together and socialize, but we definitely encourage your student to be direct and reach out to them, and they're happy to help. Other ways that make it easy for your students to engage are by joining a club and an organization. At Olin, we have around 25, 26, yes, Genesis is nodding her head, student clubs that your student can get involved with. So these are easy ways for your students to make connections, particularly with upperclassmen. Maybe down the road, take on leadership roles, but really get involved. Many of them are career-focused. Some of them are community service-oriented. Others focus generally on their professional development. So if you're a student, I would highly encourage them just to check out what's available. We're having an activities fair the first week of class on Wednesday afternoon, and they should go and just see how they might be able to engage and collaborate in a non-academic sort of way. We also have students whose co-curricular involvements maybe lean towards the broader university. That's great too. So the university has an all-campus activities fair. It's on Friday afternoon of the last day of the first week of classes. And so there'll be over 400 clubs that line Mud Field outside our building where they can go and just understand what's available university-wide as well. All right, my last couple of slides here just are really file them in that category of nice to know, but not absolutely necessary right now. But I am sharing this information with you because we will present this to your students over the next 3 days. So if they happen to say something about, ooh, I'm really excited to go abroad, or I really want to participate in a CEL project, or so forth, you kind of know what they're talking about. So we have 4 of the undergraduate programs team who are very knowledgeable. They coordinate and manage and offer our study abroad experiences. And we'll be talking to your student about those tomorrow afternoon, actually. A study abroad, a global experience, could happen for them as early as next summer. Most of our students who do have a global experience will have a full semester study abroad experience, which really doesn't happen until sophomore or junior year. But if they're super excited, it's a great way to spend some time next summer through one of our global programs. Olin has a Center for Experiential Learning. The CEL offers really consulting-focused, client-based projects where teams of students get to interact with a client and present to them a business solution at the end of the semester. Again, not likely your student would enroll in a CEL project until sophomore year, but they're going to hear about it. And again, something that we hope that they will engage in before graduation. And then finally, a note on careers, right? Our business students, you know this, they're so motivated, they're so focused. They tend to be thinking about that next step really early on, okay? Want you all to know that they're going to start the semester They're going to see upperclassmen walking around in suits like the second or third week of the semester. They're perceptive. They're going to know something is going on. We are going to explain to them, and in turn, I'm going to explain to you. Take a deep breath right now in the first year. Focus on exploration. Focus on joining a career community offered by the Center for Career Engagement. Focus on asking questions, being curious, talking to upperclassmen about internships that they've had, but don't stress. We are going to ask them in the sophomore year to begin to get serious. Serious is not the right word. Begin to focus on and thinking about their career plans. So they will do so in a course that's required in Management 201. And we want them to be aware of recruiting timelines, just general guidelines that they should be thinking about as they begin their career journey. So part of this course, they will submit a resume for a grade that has to get reviewed. Really perfect their LinkedIn profile. Things that probably a lot of them are doing already, but it's a real focus in that sophomore year. Recruiting deadlines tend to be coming early, so we want them to be prepared if they're ready to engage. Junior year is really focused on internships. Senior year, really focused on that post-graduation placement, if you will. Again, definitely file in the sort of nice to know category, but need to know later in your students. We'll do our best to support them and have them prepared, when the career engagement really does need to start. All right. I think I've shared the most important things they're going to experience over the next 3 days, hopefully over the fall, and hope you feel a little bit, more ready for what they might reach out and tell you. I will offer that, if you do have questions, please contact me. Please reach out. More than happy to, support your students, if and when it does become necessary that you get involved. But as Mike said, they got this. They're so bright. They deserve to be here. They're academically prepared, and they've definitely got this. All right. I think we have time for some questions. Do you want to join me on stage? And we have runners around. If anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Should we sit for the questions, or do you want us to still stand?
We can sit. I'm tired. Yeah. Let's sit. No.
Thank you, Paige. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering how the business school handles students using AI tools like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, and are they encouraged to use those tools? How do the professors know if they're getting the actual work from the students or from an AI bot?
Yeah, I'll grab this one. So it depends. I would say at this point, most of the faculty across campus, not just in Olin, will address the use of AI tools on their syllabus. And we'll be clear about should they not use it at all? And some professors take that stance. If you use it, okay, make sure you cite it. And it really varies, but I feel most faculty are addressing this in their syllabus, whether it is acceptable to use it. On Tuesday morning, Dean Groves and I will talk about academic integrity with your students. And my message to them will be think about your intent in using an AI tool. Is it to take a shortcut and cheat, because you're probably going to it's going to cause problems? Or is your intent to enhance your work? With that, check with the faculty members policy and go from there.
Let me just add one thing to that, which is sort of how we've been thinking about this in kind of academia and higher ed in general. I think there was sort of this initial shock, right? Oh my God, a computer can answer this exam better than most of my students. What am I going to do? And that shock led to a short period of trying to stop it. Okay, let's not allow students to use it, and let's employ technology to decipher whether they are Well, it turned out that that technology was really impossible. And the faculty quickly learned that it was way more powerful to figure out ways to incorporate the tool just like any other tool. Okay, so I mean, you know, as peers in having a student this age, you will remember, as I do, the use of calculators and PCs in our math classes in high school and college, and it was the same transition. And so this is a really powerful and useful tool. I think it will allow our students to get past a lot of the busy work and into the interesting, deep thinking. Now, we want them to know how to be able to write, and so there's still going to be a writing class for them. We need them to understand what calculus is, because marginal thinking is incredibly important in economics and business, and calculus helps us to learn that. When I get in front of your students, I'm going to talk to them about pattern recognition versus understanding a concept. And what we want them to be able to do is use the tools and technology to be able to do quickly the things that they know and understand, so that they can start thinking more creative and deeply about the big challenging questions. And I think once we pivoted as educators to that perspective, people started to get really, really, really excited.
What is that?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for the really helpful information. I wondered if you could speak to, I noticed in the experiential section you talked about relationships with companies, and I just wondered in that space or in the internship space, if there are relationships or aspects of the program that facilitate exploring nonprofit or governmental or those types of businesses.
Sure. A couple of things. We have a minor. It's called the Business of Social Impact minor. That really does just that, exploring that nonprofit space, or that space where students are focused on bigger impact in their business roles, the environment, education, whatever it might be. So we have that minor that is popular with many students. We have a very popular course called Intro to Social Entrepreneurship. So there's some academic components that students can definitely get involved in. Then specific to the Center for Experiential Learning, there's two programs that I'll point out that I think students who have this interest find really impactful and useful. One, there's a program called the Taylor Community Consulting Project. So your student is in a team working with other students. The client in that program must be a nonprofit. So they're working and engaging, solving business problems for nonprofits. And then we also have a program through the CEL called the Small Business Initiative. And in the Small Business Initiative, the clients tend to be smaller, local, family-run businesses that serve as the client for students interested in that.
I love this, not only because we have all of these elements that match the students' needs, but Dean LaRose rattles them off. Boom, 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 boom. Doesn't it make you think that if your students have issues, this team is ready to support them? I mean, this is really, it's just such a comfort and a skill that we have here. So thank you for that.
Hello. My daughter is thinking about moving into Olin or transferring into Olin. She is in from Arts and Science School. I see based on the information that you shared, there's a lot of content that is taught to the students who are already in Olin, right? And she also mentions that you can only transfer after year 2 or sophomore year. So is it advisable to switch? Will she miss a lot? And are there any other resources that are available when she's during this first year?
Sure. Okay. Unfortunately, your daughter got some bad information. Or maybe not, maybe I just misunderstood. You're a student who is interested in transferring into Olin, or if you're a student who's started in business and decides business isn't a good fit and wants to transfer to one of the other divisions, which is possible, right? You apply to WashU, you apply to a division, they're very young, and academic interests change. But for those students who start elsewhere and want to transfer into Olin, there's a set of requirements that they need to complete to be eligible. That includes completing Calculus 2 and completing 2 core business courses. The 2 core business courses that I spoke of, Management 100 and Management 150, those should be available to non-Olin students in the spring semester. So with completing Calc 2, 100 and 150 in the spring, or another core business course, they would then be eligible to transfer at the start of sophomore year. So maybe she didn't get bad. Maybe it was year 2. But you could transfer before sophomore year starts. This is true for everyone, no matter if you're interested in transferring or not. The team offers, we call it on-call advising. So 5 days a week from 11 to 1. Okay, an advisor is available for students who want to drop in and just have a question, okay? Ooh, we have a question in the front row, Joy.
Hi, 2 quick questions. How many students are in Olin this year as first-year students?
We have 164 incoming business students. Yeah.
And other than when the students are wearing suits for interviews, what tends to be the dress? Are kids very casual when they are in okay. Sweats and t-shirts and the like?
100%,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, great
Even the
question.
dean is usually, although not shorts most of the time, but also I only pull out my suit on a very special occasion.
I did skip over something I usually share with parents. Remember when I talked about that Management 100 case competition? That would be the really only time this semester, most likely, I think, that business professional attire will be required. So your student will need a suit by, say, the second week of November. Okay.
I wonder if the dean can comment on this. You sort of teased the new 5-year strategy for the school, and I know it's not officially being rolled out, but could you give us a little bit more of a flavor for where you see the strategic emphases being for the next 5 years? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think we're looking at places where Olin, at all the different levels, right? The undergraduate program is one of our degree programs. We also have a full-time MBA, executive MBA. We have master's programs, PhD, of course, lots of non-degree executive education. We want to be great partners with our university, and WashU is a world-renowned in its medical education. It's the best or one of the best medical schools in the world, and so it's a great opportunity for us to lean in all of our programming and our research into the business of health, which is an extremely important topic to the economy, and that's, I think, will be one of the areas of strategic focus. We're looking at the opportunities here in this region, not that we expect or anticipate that our undergraduate students would necessarily make St. Louis their home. after graduation. But we have a really unique opportunity here in St. Louis to have, I think, the best business school, business community relationship of any business school in the country. And that, gives opportunities for kind of all of our programs at the undergraduate level. It really gives us this very, very special opportunity to create these experiential learning opportunities for our students. We just did some recent research that showed over 50 companies within St. Louis have a CEO who went to Olin. And so, when Dean LaRose and the team from the CEL or myself connect with these alumni, we really, they want to help. They want to do stuff and give back to the school. And one of the ways that they can do that is to open up their doors to give opportunities for our students. So linking in with St. Louis to even a greater degree as part of our strategic plan. And then, as I mentioned, we really want to leverage the size of our program. And that might seem a little bit counterintuitive in some ways because our size is small. But you can do things as a smaller school that you just can't do if you're the University of Michigan, the University of Illinois. Even a school like Wharton has so many more students than we have. And, I think it really takes intentionality to build a program around creating special opportunities for our students. But we're committed to doing that and making investments in order to do that, right? Smaller classes, immersive experiences, experiential learning. These are, relatively more expensive to produce on our side than a lecture hall with 180 students and one professor. Okay, but that's kind of investment that we feel like we can do as a smaller school that will have a big impact and make Olin, especially for undergraduate education, an extremely special and impactful place for our students. So that's kind of the highlights. As you can tell, I can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this. And I'm happy to chat either after or at some point later on about kind of all the things that are going on at the school.
Great. Question in the back.
Hi. My question is related to the earlier one here. My daughter intends to have dual major, one within business school and one within arts and sciences. And that was indeed one of the draws of WashU. So toss up where she enrolled. She enrolled in arts and sciences. How does she get access to all the information that you're sharing today, access to advising, all of those things as an Olin student would?
Yeah, great. So I would say a good first step for someone who's hoping to do a second major or minor in Olin would be, week 3 or week 4 of the semester, right? Stop by one of our on-call advising times and chat with an advisor about what should she be thinking about for spring semester. I would also say likewise, if you have a business student here that's thinking about a second major or minor outside of the business school, week 3, week 4, get settled first, right? Go by one of the other support offices in the other schools and talk to someone about what might you consider in the spring semester in order to complete a second major or minor. Eventually, when your daughter does declare that second major or minor, and again, really probably not necessary to do so until sophomore year or maybe spring of freshman year if they're really eager, they will be assigned to an advisor in the Olin program. So a dedicated person who they can go to with these questions. It just kind of kicks off a series of, you get our weekly newsletter that we send out. You get, email blasts from me about opportunities. So, once it is formally declared, they're looped into the communications that we have. We'll go here.
So my question is about study abroad. So of the kids who are going abroad, are they studying on a business-specific program? And if not, and they're going through like a philosophy program, how behind does that get them as far as their business requirements are concerned?
Okay, it shouldn't. So I would say generally at WashU, there is a philosophy that your study abroad experience needs to be an academic-focused one. So we offer a number of study abroad programs that will be business heavy. Arts and Sciences has an office called the Overseas Programs Office, and you will need to be a major in your example, philosophy, in order to participate on one of their study abroad programs. So there's a real intentionality behind, you don't just get to go abroad and have fun. Trust me, they do have fun, it sounds like. I mean, let's be honest. But it needs to be connected to your academic plan of study. The team does a great job. You know, I'm gonna be very transparent though, and maybe this is gonna save my team some time down the road, right? These are partnerships that we vet, and they're great business schools across the globe that we partner with. But it's also a bit of a leap of faith, right? We don't control what a SADE business school is offering in a spring semester, okay? So they might think that they're taking that finance course and that marketing course, that they absolutely have to have that spring semester, but it's their school and program, right? So there really does need to be some flexibility involved that is probably the biggest key to a study abroad experience. Flexibility and openness to grow and be challenged, right? That being said, I can confidently tell you, no one has ever not graduated on time because of a study abroad experience, okay? So many questions. We'll go front here.
Thanks. Just following up on your comment about identifying 50 CEOs in St. Louis or Olin, is there like an Olin alumni database that the students can identify and connect with alumni in their business area of interest and to pursue internships?
Yeah, I'll go. Database direct connection, no, we don't have that capability. Something key I will talk about is in that sophomore fall management communications course where they begin to focus on careers. One of the things that they focus on is how to comb LinkedIn to find those alumni connections. There's also mentor programs available to our students. Currently, in the sophomore year, there's a women's mentor program, and in the sophomore and junior year, a program called the Industry Insider Program, where we match students with alums. I would also give a shout out to our clubs that are a part of the Olin Business School. Those clubs do a phenomenal job of keeping their current members connected to young alumni who were involved in those clubs. So it makes it a really easy reach out if you're interested at this particular investment bank in New York, to connect with someone because you have those connections. Yeah. We'll go here, Joy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. It's wonderful. My question has to do with two different thinking about pre-professional schools and liberal arts colleges. And I'm just curious, and this might be a question more for the university, but how Olin and the university thinks about exposing the Olin students to the arts and sciences and the humanities. And I know you talked about a writing class, but what else? So it's not just solely business focused, even though that's what my student wants.
Can I take that? And Paige will follow up with the requirements and the details. I think part of your question is philosophical a little bit. I think well, let me try this. I often do this with people my own age. Raise your hand if your current job, what you do at work, if it didn't exist when you went to college. If it's something new and right, a lot of people have their hands up. we are a pre-professional program in a way, but we really need to acknowledge that what we're teaching in a rapidly changing world is, very likely to be rolled out and replaced with a new technology and new innovations. And so while all of our courses are in disciplines and have, leading to a job in some way, I think that there is a really important element where the most important things that we're teaching are analytical capability, critical thinking, and those skills can be really augmented through business education in a big way. Now, I think those skills and those expertise are also really important to be honed in other disciplines as well. And so, Paige, what do the students have to do outside of Olin in that regard?
Right, so each of our degree students is required to take 40% of the credits that they graduate with outside of the business school. So they really can take advantage of the liberal arts and the humanities and arts and sciences, maybe STEM studies and arts and sciences, computer science and engineering, design aspects from our Sam Fox School of Arts and Visual Design. So 40% they have to take outside. In that 40%, there is some structure. We have a set of general education requirements, so they'll all take a social science and a humanities and an ethics course and an international focused course. So there's some structure to their outside of Olin requirements, but it's an important part of their degree for so many of the reasons that Mike mentioned. So I see we have time for one more question, and then we'll, right here in the front, and then we'll allow you to meet the advisor and move on with your day.
Thanks. I'm just curious about this class. So we said 163 people. I was just wondering, what were you looking for? And what is the makeup between like marketing, finance, etc.?
Oof, you're really testing my memory right now. 164. Okay, regarding what they're interested in, there is an ability to check on the application if they want to major in marketing or supply chain or whatever it might be. Every student is coming in undeclared, and we also know that that changes, and so not sure exactly what they will end up in. Although I feel pretty confident, the largest number of our students graduate with a finance major. Coming in second is always marketing. Everything else just is kind of in the middle. As far as, what are we looking for? We're looking for those academically capable students that have potential to make an impact in our community. They've been leaders in some way. They come from different backgrounds, have diverse perspectives, and it's going to enrich our community as a whole by having all of these different types of members, a diverse group of students in it. Demographically, our students, I think we're 50-50 gender split. Let's see, we come from, I forget, did Joy do that? 34 different states, I'm pretty sure, 9 different countries. We have a fair number of athletes who will be student athletes in the class. I know from reading their, applications, there are accomplished musicians, there are dancers, there are figure skaters, there are shoe designers.
I looked at the list very quickly, and I was very excited to see that there were 3 kids in Olin who are graduates of Chicago Public Schools, where my daughter graduated. So I was very excited to see that. There's representation from private and public schools. It's really, I think an exciting. When I did start in September last year, but one of the first things I did was I joined all of the Management 150 classes for a brief introduction. And you walk into those rooms and you just see the students, and I was just blown away by kind of not only their attention and interest and everything, but their really robust, diverse group of students. It's so exciting.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna let the advising team sneak out. Again, you can say a quick hello to your advisor if your time allows for it, outside here on the first floor forum space. Each of them will have a list of which student belongs to who if you need to check in. And I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your day. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.